Imagine a quiet town where everyday life flows at its own pace. Among the people is a simple girl named Anamika, lost in her own thoughts. While her face reflects simplicity, there is a depth in her eyes, a mystery that perhaps even she doesn't understand. Anamika's life is quite ordinary, but sometimes extraordinary events knock on the doors of ordinary lives, and these events can change their entire world. Everything changes when her grandmother passes away. Her grandmother had always shown her the path to living with love and understanding, and after her departure, Anamika receives a special gift left behind by her. An ancient, magical, handcrafted mirror. This was no ordinary mirror. The intricate carvings on its edges and its old yet gleaming glass made it mysterious. As Anamika lifted it into her hands, she felt as though something was hidden within this mirror, something that would change her life forever. Her grandmother had always warned, never use this mirror in the dark. But did she take this warning seriously? No. Anamika dismissed it as just part of old stories and beliefs. Little did she know that this very mistake would lead her into a chasm of darkness and secrets. But why? Why did her grandmother warn her to stay away from the mirror? Was there really something sinister hidden within it? Or was it merely a fabricated tale? Anamika would soon confront these questions, and the truth that lay ahead was beyond her imagination. Gradually, the allure of the mirror began to seep deeper into Anamika's life. This mirror was not just an ordinary object, it was a gateway, a portal that opened between her world and another terrifying reality. And this is where the extraordinary journey of an ordinary girl begins, with the mysterious mirror. Everything in Anamika's life seemed normal until strange events began occurring with the mirror. At first, it started with little things. When she stood in front of the mirror, her reflection sometimes appeared slightly different. Occasionally, her smile would stretch just a bit, while in reality she remained serious. She brushed it off as trivial, thinking perhaps her eyes were playing tricks on her, or it was just fatigue. But the mirror, it seemed to be touching unknown depths. For Anamika, all of this began like a mysterious game. She felt as if the mirror was opening a magical door into her life. When she heard her friends' and colleagues' hidden secrets and used that information, she began to feel one step ahead of everyone else. She started to know what others were thinking and how they were behaving towards her. This knowledge initially thrilled her, as if she had control over some supernatural power. Slowly, she began to sink deeper into this game. But as this attraction grew, the mirror began to demand more from her. Now, hidden within its whispers was a dangerous request. It started to coax her into committing small wrongdoings, like betraying a friend's trust or spreading false rumors about someone. At first, Anamika felt a slight hesitation within her. She knew it was wrong. Her inner morality tried to stop her, but the mirror, its power was growing day by day. Every time she stood before it, a strange glimmer appeared in her eyes, and the whispers emanating from its surface overwhelmed her mind and heart. One day, when she intended to spread a rumor about her closest friend, her hands began to tremble. Her conscience screamed, but the mirror's voice grew louder. Do it! The mirror seemed to be sinking deeper into her. She took a shallow breath, her fingers quivered, but she did what the mirror wanted. The moment she committed this act, a cold gust of wind swept through the room. A chill raced down her spine. She realized she had made a dreadful mistake. But the mirror, now it intensified its demands. Each time Anamika performed a wrongful act, the whispers from the mirror became deeper, as if they were swallowing her soul. Sometimes at night, she felt as if the image in the mirror was watching her, keeping track of her every move. Its shadow no longer felt like hers, as if something else was hidden within it, an unknown spirit that was pushing her deeper into her mistakes. Then one day, the mirror's demands escalated even further. This time, it asked Anamika to toy with someone's emotions. This was not an easy task. It was like playing with someone's life. Anamika again tried to resist, but the mirror seemed to have ensnared her will. She knew it was all wrong, but as the mirror's voices echoed in her ears, her mind began to drown in a deep fog. This game was now pulling her into darkness. Slowly, darkness began to envelop Anamika's soul. She wanted to distance herself from the mirror, but every time she tried, it pulled her in closer. Its laughing face began to morph into a horrifying grin, as if she was losing her own identity. It was now clear that the mirror was no ordinary object. It was a trap, slowly trying to consume Anamika's soul. As time passed, Anamika's life became entangled in a strange whirlpool. She began to feel something new and terrifying each day. Dark circles under her eyes were increasing, and when she looked at herself in the mirror, she saw a strange shadow in her eyes. This shadow wasn't hers, it was the soul that was gradually descending into her life. Then one night, when complete silence enveloped the house, Anamika suddenly woke up. A strange gust of cold air swirled through her room. She looked toward the mirror beside her bed, and an image of a woman began to emerge from its gleaming surface. This was no ordinary image, it was the spirit that had now fully manifested. The figure of the woman slowly began to take shape, her eyes reflecting both fear and anger simultaneously. "You do not know who I am?" The spirit's voice was low and terrifying, like a whispering wind. Anamika shivered. She was now incredibly close to the truth she had been afraid to uncover. "Who are you?" Anamika's voice trembled. The spirit began to laugh, but there was pain in its laughter. "I am the one who was trapped in this mirror. There was a time when I was alive, but I was betrayed and murdered. Since then, I have been imprisoned here in this mirror. This mirror is now my home, my curse, and now it has become your curse as well." Anamika's heart raced. She couldn't understand what to do. It felt like her entire world was crumbling in that moment. "But what do you want from me?" she asked fearfully. "Freedom," the spirit replied. "I can only escape this mirror if you take my place. Only then will I be free from this curse." For Anamika, this was a terrifying truth. She realized that the spirit was trying to slowly consume her life. Its sole purpose was revenge, and the path to its freedom lay through Anamika's death. The fear Anamika had felt until now spread to every part of her being, but the mirror had also made it clear that if she attempted to destroy it, her soul would also be trapped within, just as the spirit's was. It was a trap from which escape seemed nearly impossible. Every night and day for Anamika turned into this dangerous game. The mirror's control over her breath was growing stronger, and slowly she began to adjust to living with this terrifying reality. Yet a question echoed in her mind repeatedly. Would she be able to escape this curse, or would her soul also become part of this mirror? Every time she stood before the mirror, she felt as if her soul was being slowly pulled inside it. Sometimes she would scream at the sight of her own reflection, convinced that she was not transforming into her own image, but into that of the spirit. Nights became tormenting for her. On one hand, the power of the mirror pulled her closer, while on the other, her fear compelled her to find a way to escape this curse. The problem was that the harder she tried, the deeper she sank. Her mental state was beginning to fracture. The whispering of the mirror now stole her sleep at night. She often felt as if someone was standing beside her, speaking to her, even though the room was empty. Strange visions started appearing before her eyes, terrifying images of the future, including her death, the mocking mirror, and the spirit's joy at being freed. For Anamika, all of this had become unbearable. Her condition began to deteriorate, and the grip of this curse was strengthening on her soul. If she didn't find a way out soon, her story would end just like that of the spirit, another innocent soul trapped in the mirror. Anamika had very little time left. As the nights grew more terrifying, Anamika's mental and physical balance teetered on the brink of collapse. Her eyes were swollen, her face had turned pale, and her body trembled constantly. She was drawn to the mirror as if an invisible force had taken control of her. The spirit's whispers echoed in her ears every moment, pushing her toward madness. But one night, when everything was about to end, Anamika felt one last wave of courage within her. She knew that if she didn't put an end to the curse tonight, her soul would be trapped in that mirror forever. But for that, she had to do something seemingly impossible. Face the spirit that was imprisoned within the mirror and risk destroying it. That night, Anamika completely locked up her house, drawing the curtains on the windows and placing the ancient mirror in the center of the room. A strange chill filled the space. A light breeze seemed to be coming from all directions, even though the windows were closed. By now, Anamika had realized that it was not just cold air, it was the wrath of the spirit from the mirror advancing toward her. She began to recite a few lines from an old scripture, lines her grandmother had once told her. It was said that if pronounced correctly, they could pacify cursed spirits, but the spirit was not one to give up easily. As Anamika started chanting the incantations, chaos erupted in the mirror. The spirit's face became clearly visible within the glass. Its eyes were angrier than ever, glaring at Anamika. The surface of the mirror seemed to be boiling, and the whispers had transformed into screams. "You cannot escape," the spirit's voice echoed throughout the room. "Your soul is now mine." Anamika's heart began to race. She knew that if she made even one mistake, the spirit would destroy her in that instant. The room's light dimmed and objects around her began to tremble. Cracks started to form on the floor and strange shadows emerged from the walls. The wind suddenly intensified as if a powerful storm had burst inside. Suddenly the mirror turned completely black and hands began to emerge from it. Strange, distorted hands reaching out as if to grab Anamika. She recoiled, holding her breath, but she didn't lose hope. She knew there was no turning back now. With determination, she quickly picked up an iron rod, which her grandmother had once told her was the only way to protect herself from spirits. "The time has come," she said to herself. Then, with a loud chant, she struck the mirror with the rod. A loud crash echoed from the mirror, but it did not break. The screams of the spirit had become even more terrifying. The entire room shook. Objects scattered across the floor began to float in the air, and something smoky started to emerge from the mirror, the form of the spirit, now on the brink of freedom. Anamika struck the mirror with all her might one last time. Cracks began to spread across the surface, and the spirit's screams were now audible to the entire world. She hit it again. This time, the mirror shattered. As the mirror broke, a terrible roar filled the air. The spirit's screams were so loud that Anamika felt blood trickling from her ears. In the air, its shadow began to vanish, and the spirit scattered around the room like dark smoke. Suddenly, everything fell silent. The room seemed to return to normal. Anamika collapsed to the ground, gasping for breath, but she knew she had achieved victory. With the shattering of the mirror, the spirit was gone forever. For the first time, she felt the taste of her freedom with every altered breath. The shards of the mirror lay completely broken, and not a single sound could be heard from them. The curse of the spirit had been erased forever, and Anamika had liberated herself from that dreadful grip. But in the corner of the room there remained one last shadow. It wasn't the spirit's, but rather that of a secret that would never be entirely extinguished. And so, dear viewers, as Anamika breaks free from the terrifying grip of the cursed mirror, we realize that her journey isn't just about confronting darkness. It's a reflection of our own struggles and the battles we face within ourselves. If you found this story captivating, inspiring, or spine-chilling, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We want to bring you more thrilling tales and mysteries that keep you on the edge of your seat. And your thoughts matter to us. If you have any suggestions or ideas related to this story, please drop them in the comments below. Your feedback helps shape our next adventures and stories, so let us know what you think. Thank you for being a part of our journey, and remember, sometimes the scariest reflections hold the greatest truths. Until next time, stay curious and stay safe.